So this is going to be one of those episodes where I've got thoughts. I've got ideas and I've got thoughts.
Oh, great. So you mean it's going to be one of those episodes that people should just go ahead and, like, skip? That's what you're saying right off the bat? Just, hey, everybody, warning, here's, just so you know, an episode that you probably don't need to listen to.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. No. So here's the thing. At night, do I say here's the thing a lot? I feel like I say here's the thing a lot. Hold on a second. Now I got to think about that.
And now you're derailed. You came in all hot and strong, and you're like, oh, I got something to talk about. And now you're like, oh, another shiny thing. Focus, bumper car. You're a minute in.
And there's the phone ringing. And that's why I can't focus, because there's never any time to focus on anything, because I never get a chance. It's like all I do in my life at this point is I run around and I put out fires. I'm like, oh, there's a fire, run. Oh, there's a fire, run. Oh, there's a fire, run. And I never even get to check if the fires are actually out because I'm so busy running from fire to fire to fire.
You better hope that this is not being... do we play these ever at a movie theater, any kind of theater? Because if you're doing your podcast and you're up here screaming fire, 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 people are gonna I think you're breaking some laws, maybe. But you can't just start screaming fire, fire, fire. That's highly illegal. And and I'm not... Listen, I'm not saying that because I want anybody else to come to the podcast, because I like it's just you and me today. But I think you're probably bending, maybe even breaking a couple of laws there.
Yeah, no, listen. Don't you worry about that. We live in a post-law society.
Would you stop? Stop. This is supposed to be a silly, funny podcast. If you jump down that hole, that rabbit hole, you're going to be in all kinds of trouble. I wouldn't do it. I would just take a deep breath, and now let's talk about whatever it was that you started off now 2 minutes ago wanting to talk about.
That was so long ago. And now I feel like we've talked about... I don't remember. I was so excited. I came in and I was so excited. I'd been thinking about something that I wanted to talk about, and I thought it was even interesting. And then I can't. Why does this happen?
Is it because you don't do the podcast often enough, and so you're a little bit out of sync? That's not what I want. Out of practice? That's what I want. Or maybe is it because the only time you actually have conversations are on the podcast because you don't talk to other people, and so maybe you just had too much ready to go. And then when you got distracted, it all fell apart?
No, I talk to people all the time. Like, I'm always talking to people. I talk to people constantly, really. You know, if you look at talking, then I'm talking.
You understand that it's like people in restaurants and stores, that those aren't common. They're being paid to be nice to you. You understand that, right? They're just trying to be cordial, civil, you know.
Civil, like civil shepherd.
So now we're doing like references to television from 30 years ago. Oh, bumper car.
Yeah.
Oh, bumper car. What are you doing?
Well, what about? Okay, fine. I understand and I accept whatever that those people are probably maybe only being nice to me because it's their job. Which, fine, whatever, you know, they don't have to do their job so well to me, right? To talk to me. They could just give me a smile and walk away. But fine. I will accept your logic, and I will say, what about I had a show this weekend, and I talked to people there.
Well, no, so when you're doing stand-up comedy, you're not talking to people, you're talking at people. You're on stage, right? Which by it, you're up high, you're far away, you're talking into a microphone, which is, you know, it's I would say magnifying your voice. Is that what we're saying? Amplifying. We'll say amplifying your voice. And so that's also not a conversation, but it really highlights, I think, where your brain is a little bit wonkadoodle.
Well, okay, so normally I totally agree with you. But this show, which I had to drive 2 hours to get to, it was so far away because of traffic and stuff. So I got there, and they had the tables set up like 20 feet from the stage where I was performing, and also the stage was like high up, like super high up, like probably I'm gonna go 5.5 feet, 5 feet. We'll say 5 feet up, and there were spotlights, but they were not on, and they were not pointed at the stage, even if they were on. So it created this really weird environment, and so I was sitting in the back at the comics table, which was table number 13, which is not foreshadowing at all.
Should I tell the crowd? So, listen, everybody who's listening to this story, first off, I apologize. Second off, if Bumpercast sounds weird, it's because every so often there's still music beds that are coming through that evidently somebody forgot to turn off. And so he was telling some story, and all of a sudden it's like, unctia, 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 which is why he sounded confused. Anyway, back to your story. Tell your story.
Okay, yeah, those unctia beats are always coming through. So I was back at the table, and there was a woman who was running the show. She like hired us, I guess, and she came back, and the producer of the show said, "Hi, just so you know, you're going to be bringing Natty up. He's the host for the show." And I said, "Hi, Natty," and she's like, "What's your name, Natty Bumpercar?" "That's a stupid name." No, she didn't say stupid. "That's a silly name. Is that really your name?" And I said, who knows? Because that's usually what I say, just to get out of that conversation. And or I say, probably. And she's like, "Okay, fine, whatever. Listen, in a few minutes, I'll go up there. I'm going to say a little bit about the show, and then I'll introduce you." And I was like, perfect. And so in my mind, that meant, okay, I have time to, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. Maybe I'm going to stretch a little bit, maybe do some jumping jack, whatever I do. I don't know. Think about what I'm going to say. And I stood up to leave the room to find the bathroom, and she was already on the stage, and she was like, "Okay, everybody, here's your host, Natty." And I was 2 feet out of the door, which meant I was all the way out of the door already. And I went, oh, and I had to turn and run all the way up to the stage because it was far away. It was much farther than I thought it was. And, hopped up on stage, and I was just like, what happened to a few minutes? Thanks. Oh, here we go, which was a weird way to start a show. Not how you want to start a show. And I'm not blaming that, but the crowd was, like, usually they have like a 30-second warning. "Hey, everybody, thanks for coming out tonight. Thanks for coming to our show. How about that food? That's sponsored by this person. And look at all these decorations. Great job, these people," like whatever it is. "And now let's get ready. Are you guys ready for some show, and they're like, "Yeah, we're ready." But this was just like, "Hey, show, go." And me running on stage. And so the crowd was just like kind of there, but also kind of not there. And I did about 12 minutes up front, and, there were some laughs, but there was also a lot of me switching gears. It was like, "I'm going to try that." "No, you don't like." "Okay, I'm going to try that." "You don't like." "Okay, I'm going to try that." "Nope." "Okay, good. Just a lot of me kind of feeling the crowd out, trying to feel what they like, trying to feel what they don't like or whatever. And so then I got off stage. Like, I introduced the person who produced the show. She was going to do a little jump-on spot, a little guest spot. And so I introduced her. I was like, "Hey, everybody." And I found a little back room on the stage because I didn't want to go all the way back to the table because I'd already got my steps in that day. So after she got off, I went up, and I was frustrated because I'm the host, and I was not going to let the show go that way. And so I was just like, no, I'm taking charge. And so they had given me a wireless microphone. And so I actually hopped off the stage, and I decided to run from table to table to table. And it's not necessarily crowd work because I wasn't really letting them talk so much. But I would pick out something at the table, and I would make fun of it quick. Boom, bam, boom. Zing, zing, zing. And then I would run to the next table. Boom, bam, boom. Zing, zing, zing. And, and that actually got the crowd engaged, and that got them kind of awake and kind of like, oh, hey, we're at a show. And then, it was good because the other two comics, they had a much easier time with the crowd because I forced them to be engaged. And I was so happy with that because it was a little bit, like, it's easy to get depressed and get into a funk when things aren't going exactly the way you want them to or the way you planned for them to go, and just kind of throw your hands up and be like, well, I tried. But, did you? Did you try? And so I was like, no. I refuse. I refuse this reality. I'm going to take charge of this reality. And I did. And it worked out to the point where after the show, everyone was like, oh, that was so fun when you came down and talked to us, when you were running around and you were talking to us. And I was just like, yay, good, glad to hear it. Yay, good. I don't want to talk about it now because it makes me uncomfortable talking to humans.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking. So that, you know what? It sounds like you might have had a conversation or two, which, good for you. Really proud of you. Really, you're really coming far. Really, the performer who, is really coming out of his shell. Good job. Good for you.
Yeah.
Really proud of you.
Thanks.
Really happy for you.
Okay.
What were you talking about earlier? We said about talking to people?
Oh.
Because I actually checked out. You were talking then for like 7 minutes, and so I kind of walked out of the room.
Yeah.
Which I apologize, but it's, I'm a very busy pig.
Yeah, I get it. But no, I came in, remember, I was excited to talk about something on the podcast, and then I got distracted, and then you tried to bring everything back together. And by the time you did that, I had already forgotten what it was that I wanted to talk about, that I was all excited to talk about. And then you asked if I was forgetting because I wasn't doing the show enough, and so I was out of practice.
Yep.
Or if that because I never talked to anybody in the world, that maybe I was saving everything up just to explode out into the Bumper Podcast. And so maybe that's what was happening, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But it's also pretty if I was trying to say phenomenally, but I said renominally. It's pretty phenomenally creepy. Like, that. Did you take notes on the conversation? Because that's all those things you were just saying, where I think exactly the things that I was talking. Anyway, who cares? Fine. So I don't know what we established there. Yes, you talked to people, not at people, and they weren't people at a place of business like a restaurant or a store where they have to talk to you. So what? I think now that we've maybe proven in some form or fashion that you might be human? Is that what we're doing? I forget the whole point of this whole thing.
No, I think maybe I don't know what we just proved. That I talk to people sometimes. We proved that I talk to people sometimes. That I don't only talk on the podcast. I'm human.
The Bumper Podcast is an oftentimes hilarious weekly romp with Natty Bumpercar and some of his pals. It is family-friendly, clean, and ridiculous. Thanks a bundle for listening. If you love our show and you'd like to help support the podcast, check out our Patreon page at https://www.patreon.com/Natty Bumpercar. Also, pretty please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Share it with everyone everywhere, post about it on all of the social medias, or leave a rating and review. The Bumper Podcast is produced at headquarters in Coffee Can Alley. It's recorded, mixed, and produced by producer. The Bumper Podcast features contributions from Aloysius J. Pig, Rufus T. Rufus, Doodle Poodle, Robot, Trunks, and a gaggle of other silly rascals. Our head talker is probably Natty Bumpercar. We also have an absurd newsletter. Check it out and subscribe at nattybumpercar.com/subscribe. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Natty Bumpercar. Hugs and hearts. See you soon.